Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing this, which is my PS Vita. Specifically, what I'm going to do, today's video is going to entail two things. That is going to be the replacement of these joysticks right here, or analog sticks, whatever you want to call them. I call them joysticks. But I'll be replacing those today. Additionally, after the install is done, I will be reviewing the replacements. They're not broken. They work perfectly fine. It's just I bought this used, and I'm a bit anal. If you notice, if you can see on my screen, I keep my things relatively clean. But these were driving me nuts. So I'm going to be replacing that. And I bought the replacements from eBay. It's a very modular piece. I don't know if my camera will focus, but there you go. You can see it there. So I'll be replacing it there. And I'll be walking you through it. The point of this video basically is to make you comfortable with replacing things in electronics yourself. I think it's important for you to understand that you shouldn't send everything in to be done by somebody else. You could probably do it yourself. You're more capable than you think you are. And yes, it's intimidating because it is a piece of electronic that has microelectronics in it, but I think that you can do it, and I want you to do it. I want to show you that I can do it as well. And if I can do it, then you can definitely do it. Additionally, I've never done this before, so this will be my first time attempting to replace joysticks on a PS Vita. Yeah, and the reason why I also think you should do it is a lot of these older game consoles, they're very high value, hard to replace, hard to find. So I think it's valuable if that you do it on your own. Plus to send it into somebody else, you will definitely feel accomplished, and you'll do a better job than anybody else would for your own thing. So, with that said, I will walk through the process. But before I begin, it is important to note that whenever you work on anything that has a battery, the moment you have the battery exposed and are able to disconnect it, you should do so. It's very important because you could short out any circuit, capacitors, resistors. You don't want to short anything out and have yourself a nightmare. You might have to replace the motherboard. You never know what could go wrong. So it's very important you disconnect that battery. So I'll kind of walk through this assembly. I may not say much. But if there's anything that I think that needs mentioning, I will mention it. I'll also zoom in the camera a little bit, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And let me zoom this in just a little bit so we can see what's going on. Maybe that's a little too close. Back it up a little. All right, so the first place I would probably start is with these two screws on the bottom. So there's a screw here and there's a screw here, so I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew them. It shouldn't be too hard to do. They're also easy to see. The two bottom screws done, and then I believe there is a screw where the game card goes. So yep, so let me pull that out. I think it's important to remove that. Put it to the side. So it looks like there is a screw. I can get it to focus right there. So pull that one out. It's also important. The one thing when you're disassembling electronics is to make sure that you remember where everything goes. Oddly enough, I remember where I put all my screws. If you're not like me, an ice cube tray works really well for keeping things organized. It's also cheap where you don't have to go buy like an organizer. You just use the ice cube tray. You can just put everything where you think you'd like to put it. So that's one screw. All right, and they are 4 screws in the back here. So if you look carefully, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna take those out. Hopefully I don't turn it on. Let's see, does this come out easy? I'm not sure it does. Looks like it is a little bit loose. Let me see if I can dislodge it. And like I said, I've never done this before, so I hope I don't break it. Am I missing any other screws? No. Okay. Let's see, I'm gonna try pull it apart here slowly.
A few moments later.
We are back. So I managed to figure out you need something to slide it in. It needs to be plastic. So this, if I can get it into view, is a tool I have for sliding in and out of things to pull them apart. If you could see, right? And what I did is I slid it. Let me get the camera a little bit closer. So I slid it underneath over here and gently maneuvered my way around. So gently, gently, gently. Be very gentle, because you look, if I can get it into view, you could see there are these plastic clips. You don't want to break those. You won't be able to get it back together, and you're gonna regret that. I'm gonna take the shoulder buttons out, and I'm going to work my way around. One more time. Let me see. Hopefully I don't turn it back on, because I keep turning it back on. Zoom out just a little. Okay, and I'm gonna work my way around doing the same exact thing. Just doing my best to be gentle, because we definitely don't want to break anything. So let's see. And I figured that the best way to do it probably would be to slide this pick or whatever it is in this way to dislodge it. I'm going to be very careful, make sure nothing is connected. So we'll pull that off gently, because something is connected, and that is the back touchpad. So I'm going to switch to the flathead side here and gently disconnect that. You want to be very gentle. These don't need a lot of force to come out. So that's out. I put that to the side. Now, as I was saying in the beginning, you want to disconnect the battery first before anything else. Let me make sure I didn't turn this on. And no, it's not on. You want to disconnect the battery before anything first. So let's try and get that out as gently as possible. And this battery is in pretty good shape. Move this here a little bit closer so you can see what's going on. Right, so just very gently pop it out. Now I know I'm using a metal tool. You can if you're gentle. Right, as you can see, battery's out. Didn't take much. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and let's see here if I can get the camera to zoom a little bit more. If not, I'll just hold it up. If you look there, you can see that that is very similar to the one that's on this. If I can get it to focus. Right, yeah. It's a little blurry, but we'll try and get it to focus a little bit. Anyways, you get the point. It's similar. So we're going to be just replacing that, which doesn't look like it's all that tough to do. Let me center this in the screen. Let's flip this around. And we're probably going to want to disconnect these two ribbon cables on either end. So I'm going to start on what is considered my right side, which may end up being the left of the video. But I'm going to very gently take that. I'm going to disconnect it. Easy peasy. Right, switch it back around to the Phillips head and then unscrew that. So I'm going to be very gentle doing that. Battery's disconnected, the board has been discharged. So unscrew that. I'm going to put that screw down here. Now, it's very important to note that right over here, there's a ribbon cable connected to the trigger button. So you want to make sure that's disconnected. Always make sure that when you're working on things like these, that all the ribbon cables are disconnected from any circuit boards. before removing the circuit board, because you don't want to damage these ribbons. If you do, you have to replace the entire assembly. So right here there is a little notch that I'm going to flip up, make sure that's disconnected. Hopefully my camera stays in focus as well during this. Let me get it here into view. So we'll do that. I'm going to do that very gently. And yes, again, I understand I'm using metal one. If you're not comfortable using metal, I don't suggest using it. They do have plastic. You know what? I keep talking about that. So why don't we use the plastic one, right? So here's the plastic one. This should work just as well. If I can get it to do that one too. Okay. So that should be 1, 2, and 3. So we should be able to unscrew this. It should be able to come out. Just be careful that if there's any what's the word I'm looking for? There may be buttons that may pop out. And try not to put too much pressure on it, because obviously the joystick is still underneath. So I'm propping it up using my hand. So here we go. Get this out by hand. Alright, so nothing should be holding this in place. You see. Well, I say that, but it's... Ah, there it is. There's a little... So here we go. Right here. There is a little clip. So we want to just pull it with your hand. And it should release. Perfect. Alright. So that one can be taken out. I'll just have to make sure the ribbon cables are disconnected. So I'm going to actually... see if I can... do this again. It looks like it's stuck on that clip. So there is another clip here. My camera will focus. There is another clip here and another clip here. Now we should be good to remove it. There we go. And I'm going to pull that out by hand. Pull that out by hand. There we go. So that is the control board for the joystick. Now, as you can see, the joystick is here. That is the joystick, which actually is held in by one screw. So this should be a very easy replacement. So let me hold it up to the camera. There is one screw holding the analog stick joystick to get to the board. So we're going to undo that. Like I said, and I'm holding it up the whole time, propped by my finger. So if you look, this finger here, it's resting on that so that we don't have any issues. Okay, disconnected. Should be able to pop it right out. Look at that. Right, that is out. If I can get my camera to focus, but it's not. So that one's out. I'll put it there. This is the new one. See, come on, focus, focus, focus. Pull it back a little. There we go. Oh, yeah. Kind of. Okay. Either way, let's see. So that should go back in, and we will screw it in the same place, which was here. Right. Same place right here on the bottom. Alright. And you don't have to screw these in too hard. So, well, you don't want to screw it in too hard, that's for sure. Just so enough so it doesn't budge. And let me see if I can flip this over without anything falling out. Well, something fell out, but that's fine. There's the new one. Okay. Now, what was this? Start and select. Make sure that goes back in the right way. Okay. And yeah, you're gonna have things fall out if you turn things over, or, you know, things of that nature. So we're gonna put this control board back. So as I mentioned, remember there were 2 clips. So you want to make sure they're in the clips first before you start sliding things into the slots first. So as I mentioned, there is a, let me take this out. There is a clip right here, and there is a clip right there. So that was actually very easy. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I hope you are not intimidated by this at all. And I hope this encourages you to try it. And if my Vita doesn't work, well then there you go. You saved yourself, well, I don't know how much they are these days. You saved yourself a couple $100 watching me break mine. Hopefully it's not broken. I did disconnect the battery. Like I said, that's the first thing you want to do. You want to make sure the battery is disconnected. So this is now secure and in place. So what I'm going to do is put the big one in first. You probably can't see it with my fingers in here. I'm going to put that one there. My camera will focus. I'm going to put this one right here in first. Switch it to the other end. Okay. Now, I prefer to use my fingers. I see people use pliers and things, but I prefer to use my fingers. One, because they're soft, and I know that kind of contradicts what I'm saying with my screwdriver, but I like to, I guess, push the cable in with my fingers. I don't mind flipping up the tabs, because the tabs are a little more, how should I say, robust in handling that. I guess, I don't know. Robust is the word I'm looking for. They're more robust. This little guy is not going in. He's giving me trouble. I'm gonna pull it out and try and push it in. See if it goes in more. I don't think it can go in any more than it already is in. Alright, that should be fine. Put it back into place. There we go. There you go. And get that. Yeah. Okay. So, and then I'm going to push this down with, so I'm going to go ahead and actually push it down. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and push this down with my finger. That should lock it into place. And you know what? Actually, I made a boo-boo, or a mistake. So let's pull this out. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to connect the joystick, or not Joy-Con, but the analog stick first, given that it has an odd area. Like this area over here where I need to connect it is very tight. So I don't want to damage it trying to slide it in or bend it a weird way. So the orientation is kind of intuitive. So obviously you're not going to bend it in some weird way. And if I look at the old one, it looks like the old one was just situated where it would just be bent over like that, which is exactly what I'm trying to do with the new one. So I'm going to try and orient it that way. Being stubborn. Come on. There we go. Probably should have did this first. Yeah, I'm gonna use that giant plastic thing to kind of get it in there. This is probably not gonna get in the camera. I'm gonna get as much of it in the camera as I can. Okay. Alright, there it is. It's in. There we go. So let me see. Can I like get some more of it in there? I'm gonna use this giant plastic thing. It has these little anchor points on either end. They're kind of hard to see. I must have a way to do this. I mean, it's as in as I can get it to go. Let me see. You know what? I'm gonna try it this way. I'm going to pull it up and push in, and then close the clip. Okay, there we go. Right, and then I'm also going to do the one on the bottom. It seems to be easier just to put these in first. Be very careful how you maneuver them though, because again, you don't want to damage any of these, because then you're gonna have to replace something else. And I know I don't have to replace my joysticks, but I'm just being me, and what that really means is I don't want those fingerprints or those scratches from it being used. So there we go. So that one's in, so I could probably fold it down. Right, so this one and that one are done. And now I have to do the shoulder button, which is right here. I wish I could get my camera closer, but let me just bring it up to the camera. See if I can get it in focus. Alrighty. So the last one that's going to be done. So that one is done. That one is done. This one here is the next one. I don't know where that came from. I'm going to use my hands to do it, and I'm going to try and get as much of it in the camera as possible, so I apologize if you can't see anything. Okay, my hands are definitely in the way. Put the clip up, because it keeps going back down. And yes, this is about as long as it takes if you're doing it in your first time. At least this is how long it is taking me. You might do this a little quicker than me. Kudos to you, because I am battling here. Yeah, it could be, I don't know. I don't feel like I have fat fingers. Maybe I do. But this is definitely a battle for me right now. Trying to get this bottom one in. Okay, and as I said that, it went in. So, here we go. Now all the clips are in. So all I have to do is slide that back in there. Right? There we go. And then those screws that we took out earlier, these tiny, tiny screws, if I can get my camera to focus, which it's not focusing. There it is. Does it get out? No. Okay. That tiny screw right there. So put that one in. Screw it. That's where it was the first time. Remember, it was on that corner. And if you're wondering why it's not going, and again, I have it propped up on this finger here because we don't want to push or put pressure against the new analog stick or the screen in any way, shape, or form. And if you're wondering about these screw holes, those are for the original casing when we undid that. So that screw will go back there. And that one is done. Okay. And if we look, I can move it. If it looks better than the old one. And buttons. It's probably dust on the camera. Now we're going to move to the other side, which looks a lot easier, which is why I started with the more complicated side here first. So now we're going to move to the other side. If I could just get my camera a little closer, that would be nice. But this is as close as I can get it, so I apologize. This one has 3 clips, same as the other side. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to undo those. You know, I know I mentioned using plastic, but I have this giant thing and it's just so big. But I think I'm just gentle enough. There we go. And there's that. And then finally, the last one you have to be very careful with because it is actually very big. So you don't want to snap it or break it. Alright, so they should be... Let me see if I can get this into view. It's not getting into view. There we go. So there's all 3 of them right there. Okay, and now it's time to unscrew this end. Right. And I believe there's only 2 screws on this end as well. Put that there. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm using my thumb now this time. Let me move this here. I apologize, it's out of the camera. I'm using my thumb now this time here to prop it where I'm unscrewing. It's important that you, again, I know I'm saying this again, it is very important though that you do not put any pressure on any of it when you're disassembling, because you never know what could be the subject of that pressure, and you don't want to break anything. Now, let's see, there is a clip on this. There are 2 clips on this as well. If I can get it to show. See here, why is it out of focus? There we go. So, right there is a clip. Right there is a clip. So, let's get that out. Okay. And then if I can just slide it. Let me just pull that out. And again, like I said, just be as gentle as you can. And, oh, I see why it's not coming out. There's this metal. I say metal. There is this metal thing right here. I lift it up just a tad. And then should be able to just pop it off. Right? There we go. Right, and this should slide out relatively easy. Pull the ribbon from the bottom here off. And it's a little bit dusty. Let me see if I can show you the dust. It'll show up on the camera. Let me mute myself while I clean this dust out. Okay, the dust is out, and now we're gonna attack that right there. And take that one out. And put the other one I have. And hopefully they work just as well, if not better. Okay, here we go. Out with the old. I'm gonna put my little screw right there. Get the new one out of its bag. So they are a little bit different. Let me see if I can get my camera again to focus. Oh, they are different. So this is the old one. So let me see again over here. This is the old one. And that's what that looks like. And this is the new one. That's what that looks like. They do look similar, but there are some differences. The main one that I noticed, if I can get them close enough together, is that the new one is slightly smaller. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera. It does look slightly smaller. Not really showing up. But the old one has a wider contact pad, if you can see it. And the new one has a smaller contact pad, which is fine. I'm okay with that. So we're going to go ahead and put the new one in. And orientation obviously is important, because you don't want to put it in all wrong. So let me figure out, actually, because I didn't check that first. Mistakes were made. All right, so it looks like the orientation was right the first time that I had it. So like that. Okay, so that's in. And it's just time to screw it in. Where is the screw hole? Where is the screw hole? Yeah, see, I do forget things. Okay, well, I can tell where it was threaded. Okay, so we'll do that. Put that in. All right. And here. All right, I'm gonna prop this up with my thumb, and so I'm gonna prop it up with this finger and my thumb. Let's screw it in gently. Because like I said, you don't have to make it super tight. It just needs to be kind of snug. If it's snug, it won't go anywhere. And then because I learned from my mistakes from the earlier one, I'm going to put the ribbon cables all back in first. So that one is in. I'm going to flip that down. And I'm actually going to do the shoulder button first. Okay, here we go. This one is very stubborn. Okay. It's funny. Every time I say something negative about it, it's like, no, I'm agreeable. That makes me look like a fool. And then finally, this one here, I'm using my screwdriver not to push it in, but just to kind of prop it up so that I can slide it in because it doesn't have an official bend. And let's see if I can get it in there. It is a bit of a process though. But don't let that discourage you. Because at the end of the day, when you did it yourself, you can look back and say, hey, I did it myself. And that was kind of the point of why not only did I start this channel, just to kind of talk about stuff from eBay, but to encourage others to do it themselves. Right, and remember that little piece of metal right here? This one, let me flatten my hand out so the camera focuses. Actually, I'll just take it out completely. So remember that little piece of metal that's right here? That needs to go back on top. I did not forget about that. So, and it's flexible. So let me turn this around. We can get a better view. Right, so remember there was those clips, but first we have to slide them into the guideposts here. The red guideposts, so you want to be gentle doing that. You don't want to just force anything in. So let me see. Right, there's that. Okay, oops. Right, so it's in the guidepost there, the guidepost there, and we're good. Okay, so that is in there. Let me see, why is this ribbon cable acting like this? Does it need to go in some more? Maybe it does. I don't think I can get it in any more than it already is in. Look, see, look at that. It's not going in anymore. Okay. Pushing with enough force to get it in there. So, guess that's fine. Alright, so that is in. Now it's time to put the screws back that were holding it in place. So that's one that's going to go up top right here. So the one up top. Okay. And again, I'm going to prop it up with my hand, which may put the camera out of focus, but definitely want to cushion it. When you install these new joysticks, you don't want to break them. I might have said that already. And there was another screw down here. Another one down here. So 2 screws. Oh, it fell out. And then, given all the dust that's fallen out of my console, like I said, it's the first time I'm doing this, so it's the first time I've ever opened it up. So there's going to be a lot of dust on my screen. But I'll wipe it down when I'm done. Okay. And that's it. We're done. I don't know how long that took. Let me zoom out the camera just a little bit. But it's done. Everything is pretty solid. Obviously, I have to put the trigger buttons back before assembly. That can be done easily. But it's pretty much done. If you look at it, look at that. They feel good. Hope they work good. let me see if I can get some of this dust out of here. All right. And now it is time to put these back in. Let's see, how is this oriented? Is this right? I'm playing it. This would be the right trigger. And where does it slide into? Ah, okay. Looks like it slides in this little crevice here. And yeah, just like that. Okay. So for the L button, I'm gonna have to try and hold it up to the camera and kind of show you. So the L button has a little slot there, which looks like it's shiny, and then you gotta make sure that this pot here on the bottom is hooked underneath. I'm gonna try and do it. That should be good. Okay, and then it's gonna be the same for the other side. And let's see if I'm dexterous enough to do this. Same thing. Okay, on the other side. Okay. Right. And we probably should put the battery back. That would be useful, wouldn't it? Right. And that should go in pretty easily. I don't imagine that being an issue to put the battery back. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it in first. And then put it into its place. And that should just push right in with no issues. Right, there we go. Easy peasy. And then finally, the back cover, which houses the speakers. And it doesn't look like they'll come out easily. I am going to pause the video a little bit. It does need to be cleaned. There's quite a lot of dust in there. So I'll be right back. And I am back. I tried to get most of the dust out, but it didn't come out. Don't forget that when we took this back cover out, there was a little ribbon cable here. So that does need to go back in. Oh, and I popped that off. Fix that. Okay, you know what? I'll take care of that later. Let's take those out. So that ribbon cable goes back here. So we'll put that back in. No issues there. Make sure that is disconnected. Let's see. How am I gonna do this? This does look like it may be a little tough to do, only because it's a round area. But let me see if I can get it sideways so you can see what's going on. So you gotta be very careful with this ribbon cable because it is the touchpad. And not that anybody uses the back touchpad. I am not a fan of the back touchpad. But here we go. Let me see. Maybe it's better if I do it like this. Grab it just a little bit. Don't be afraid. They're not that gentle that if you just maneuver it just a little bit, that it'll have issues. Right? You'll be fine. It's more along the lines of how does it go back together, which it looks like it goes like this. So you should be able to. Let's see if I can just pinch it just a little on the sides and slide it up. It has a little thing here, little plastic piece. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little plastic piece right here. And I'm gonna try and get that in there like this. Boy, this is not easy, I'll tell you that much. But don't let it discourage you. It's just tough. It's not scary. It's more tough to get it in just right. But once you do, it's smooth sailing. Oh, look at that. That's in. And I'm gonna push the clip down using this. All right, and then there we go. And that is done. So what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna put the trigger buttons back, which I showed you earlier how to do, but we'll do it again anyways. So I'm gonna mount it. Let me see, so put it back in its home. And this is the left one, which means it goes this way. All right, and everything should go back relatively easily. If you feel like you're having any kind of tension, stop where you are and double check nothing is sticking out. Because if you clip it back and you clip a cable, that's going to be a huge issue. Let me get some of this dust off of it and start it up. There we go. Press it hard enough. Starting up, no issues. I want to do a date because I just assembled the battery. So, you know what? Let me shut it down and put my game card back in. So it shuts off. All right, you know what? Let me screw everything back in first before I decide to put the game card. So we'll do the 4 screws on the outside. I'll do those first. Look at that. Yeah, I don't think that took me too long. Let's turn it on. Oh, and I keep forgetting that I need to put my game card in there. Give me just a second. Let's try this again. It's gonna probably ask me for the date and time because I removed the battery. Yes, here we go. I gotta turn it back off. But the good news is it turns on. No issues. But we have to find out if the joysticks work. So I'll put my game card in there. And let's see. It's loading. It's going to take a while. Let me turn it around. You can see it. Yes, my brightness is down. My brightness is down on everything. Right, what is the date? So this is from Japan, so I assume it's going to have the date. Yep. So what is it? Today is September. I have no idea. Okay, so September. That is the 9th month. 2024. And we'll leave it at 12 a.m. I'll update it via the internet later. Alright, so it's updating. You can't see much of it. I apologize. Like I said, I keep my brightness down on pretty much everything. I don't like things extra bright. But here you go. And you know what? Let me adjust the brightness so you can see what's going on. Well, I can tell you with certainty that the joystick is working, but I'm going to adjust the brightness so you can see that it is working and I'm not talking nonsense. All right, so let's see which one. This one. Look at that. So that all works. Up, down, up. There you go. That. There you go. Let me see. Maybe try a game. Let's see. Gravity Rush. Start. This game takes forever to load. But with that said, I don't think that was that tough. It did take a while. I had some snags along the way, but I hope that encouraged you to do it yourself. it's not that intimidating, and that's all I wanted to prove. And I'm about to find out how well these joysticks work and recommend them to you if that is the case, because they were cheap, very cheap, and really inexpensive. So this is Gravity Rush. If you've never played this game, I definitely recommend it. So I'm about to try out the sticks. So let's go. Auto save, load. Okay. And my camera, the way it's situated, as you can see, it is technically upside down, but it would still work though if you were looking at the video reviews. This is taking a while to load. I apologize. But all in all, that was a pretty easy install. I didn't have too much trouble. And I think it's important that you also... So here we go. Brand new joysticks. I can move around. I can adjust the camera. Look at that. Right, she can run. Camera works. Perfect. Okay. So I appreciate you stopping by and sticking with me this far. To bring this video to a conclusion, these are great. They work. They were very cheap. I'll put the link in the description. Very easy to install, but I don't think that has anything to do with the joysticks. I think that if you are nervous, don't be. Go ahead and do it. And if you take care of your things like I do, and you don't want anybody else to work on it, these joysticks I would recommend. I mean, they work flawlessly from what you saw and what I saw. I will continue to use it probably for the week, next month, probably play the game, get back into it. But with that said, I appreciate you sticking by. If you have this far, please like, comment, and subscribe if what you found in this video was helpful for you. I really appreciate feedback. It helps me go in a direction where the audience wants me to go and give you what you would like to see on the channel and bring to the channel what you would like to see, content that you want to view. But again, thank you so much for sticking with me this far, and have a good one.